From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MVW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford at the studio this morning. Obviously, we'll talk about Ole Miss's 31-17 win over Arkansas Saturday night at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. The Rebels get a tune-up week. Southeastern Louisiana coming to town prior to what has become, was always for Ole Miss, but even more of a big game against Cal in 2 weeks. The Golden Bears knock off Washington in a game that was delayed by lightning for a while late Saturday night, well after we got done working and back home from Vaught Hemingway for that night.
So late.
Yeah, that would have been one of the most miserable deals ever as a sports writer. So we'll get into that a good bit today on the podcast, brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford, daiquiris, lunch specials, and hey, Stadium Cups are back. Had a home football game. 49-cent bottomless refills there with the Oxford Exxon. Take advantage of that with your Stadium Cup. And remember to get great gas prices courtesy of the Speed Pass Plus app, the Mobile Rewards program, and much more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. No hassle, no haggle. Right to the bottom line. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop it around, or you can do what I've done now 3 times, and that's get yourself into a Clark Ford from Clark Ford today. You'll love the product. You'll absolutely love the service. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy, and he will prove that to you once you make the call. 662-257-1900.
So we've talked about for months coming into the season, the first 2 games we felt like would tell us something about Ole Miss, tell us something about Arkansas. This game happens. Ole Miss now 1-1 on the season. Really dominated much of the game for the most part. That one little time in the second half where Arkansas gets the defensive touchdown, cuts it to a score, and then Ole Miss really puts the game away with the run game, the offensive line, the offense takes over. A lot of stuff to get to. But overall, I thought it was a really big night for Ole Miss from the standpoint of they showed that they're very capable of beating the mediocre teams on their schedule, to winning some of these toss-up games as they move forward, and sort of finding some stability a little bit, because we've talked about this. The defense of Mike McIntyre, they're in the right spot almost all the time. There's such a difference in what it looks like from a coaching standpoint on the field, and then you brought this up to me leaving the stadium on Saturday, Neal. Really big day from both coordinators, because Rich Rodriguez called a hell of a game on Saturday.
Yeah, Rodriguez called a great game. It's so funny to me. I don't know. I'm going to give sort of a roundabout answer to something, because you touched on a couple things that have been on my mind. It is not my nature to go must win. I hate that term, because, as you know, I'm kind of a literalist. And so if you say this is a must win, I say, okay, so what happens if you lose? Like what? They shut the program down? They stop the season? You fire the coach? What happens if you lose the game? Because if the answer is, well, you get back up the next day and you keep going, then it wasn't really a must-win. Like the NFC Championship game's a must-win game, because if you lose, your season's over. But the more that I listened to the post-game on Saturday, and I listened to Matt's answers to some of my questions, to some of Nathaniel Gabler's questions, the more I thought, pardon my language here, but holy shit, it was getting tight. This deal was teetering more than I gave it credit for. Now, should it be teetering? That's another conversation for another day. We can have it later. But I think it was. I think there was this feeling around and inside that program that if Ole Miss loses to Arkansas, there's no getting the fan base back. Period. That the fans showed up on Saturday night, and if you don't win that game and don't look good winning that game, they're not coming back. And maybe it accelerates something. Now, is that me projecting? I don't think so. I think that's what I heard in people's answers. And I've subsequently talked to some people, and I think that's indeed what was being said. So, yeah, it was a huge win. A pivotal win. A critical win.
A monetary win, because now, all of a sudden, you're going to beat C-Line in 2 weeks. Things going to be pretty jumping for Cal.
Yeah, I think so, too. And you're right. Rodriguez called a great game. I said that kind of early on, and I remember saying that to you as we walked out of there. It's like Rodriguez really called a good game. He got everybody involved. The offense grew up from week 1 to week 2. One of the things, both Scotty Phillips and Elijah Moore said this, that the preparation was different. And that's kind of like, how so? And, you know, you know how when you go work out, sometimes you just kind of work out, and sometimes you work out. I think those young guys, inexperienced guys who've never started before, they didn't completely grasp just how big the assignment was. And sometimes, hey, most guys are like this, if we're all honest. We learn better from experience than we learn from a lecture. And you had to experience it. And they got back from Memphis, to their credit, and got back to work. They didn't have time to dwell on it, but they got back to work. I thought they had a great plan. Defensively, they're just a solid team. I think McIntyre's done a just absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, if they say solid, though, from where they were, oh, my God.
Yeah, and
solid's good. Nothing wrong with solid.
I try to evaluate them as just a now and not looking back on, man, they were a nightmare a year ago, huh? And it's kind of hard not to do that. But even if you, and it's hard to do because we saw all those games and your eyes have been burned. But even if you can kind of push that aside and just evaluate the product on the field now, it's good. It's not perfect. They have work to do. Stark will put up some numbers in the second half, and some people saw some things, and they're going to try to go attack that, and they're going to play some good quarterbacks. It comes back to this. Look, they're 1-0 in the league. They're not going to stay something and 0 for long. They're going to lose SEC games. They're going to lose multiple SEC games. They still have 3, maybe 4 SEC games where they are not going to win. They're not capable of winning. But that win, I think, yeah, they're going to beat Southeastern Louisiana. The Cal game's going to be a huge opportunity, and we'll talk about Cal in a bit, I'm sure, because I stayed up and watched a good bit of that game. I didn't see the end of it. I wasn't surprised that Cal won based on what I did watch. That's going to be a test. They're not going to beat Alabama. I think they have a really good chance at beating Vanderbilt.
They're better than Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and then, you know, after that, we get back into, they still have New Mexico State on the schedule. They're going to beat them. And so there's some opportunities. There's a path to 6 wins, and 6 wins with where this program's been and its mentality and all of that stuff. 6 wins would absolutely be a successful season.
You know, it's a little funny from a scheduling standpoint because obviously the Memphis game happened, and I get it. But we always talked about, hey, you know, these first 2 are so critical. The way the schedule sets up can be great or terrible. The schedule was really good from the standpoint of, and I get it wasn't perfect. Get you could be 2-0. That's not what I'm saying. But you get Arkansas, who frankly is awful. They're probably going 0-8 in the league. They're probably going 3-9 or whatever. You get that game though, where you get the SEC win. You get the SEC West monkey off your back. It's the first home SEC West win since LSU in 2015. It's been 4 years. You get all these things off your back, whereas had that schedule been Memphis and then LSU or Auburn or Alabama or whomever, that'd be a different deal right now because, maybe you played well and you still got beat by 21 or whatever happened. No crowd for C-Law. Do people come back for Cal? Instead, you beat a team that you're frankly supposed to beat. You look pretty dang good doing it. I thought it generated a lot of excitement. I talked to a lot of people after the game Saturday night. I kind of was around town yesterday. We went to brunch and just sort of chilled. I saw a bunch of people legitimately happy on progress. And it wasn't, what I really was struck by is so many times in college football fandom, you get the crazy optimist and then you get the crazy pessimist. You don't get much in the middle. I thought Sunday, just people that I talked to, even message board to a certain extent, which says something, very real, of, hey, it's better. It's this. They're better coached. There's some young guys I like watching. I thought Saturday night was huge from a keeping some fans interested, keeping some fans engaged and energized standpoint, but then also sort of setting a correct expectation because, to be frank, they fulfilled an expectation Saturday night. They were a better team than Arkansas. They played better than Arkansas. And with all apologies to that wide receiver for the Hogs again at the end of the game, it was a 21-point blowout win. So I thought that all those things combined set the program up for a huge game in 2 weeks, and then, frankly, something to sort of keep everything with a pulse through the Vanderbilt game.
Yeah. We talked about this on the Soft Verbal podcast. I think it dropped Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. And Zach and I kind of went on I went on the lecture circuit. And I always say that if I'm the voice of reason and I'm the one playing therapist, we're in trouble. But I kind of felt like I was being the voice of reason. And I was told by a number of people that, yeah, I kind of nailed it. And I think I did. But getting that win allowed that message to resonate a little more than if they're 0-2 with the loss to Arkansas. Because 0-2 with a loss to that team, and we can talk about them in a minute because I've got some thoughts. But a loss to that team, the high on Saturday against Southeastern Louisiana is 95. My theory that you and I have talked about before, that the weather calendar's been backed up a month, it's starting to come to fruition, and I feel pretty good about it. 95 degrees. If this team's 0-2, let's just reverse the score. 31-17 Arkansas. Ain't nobody there. Nobody's there. Nobody's there. It's over. And now, look, there aren't going to be 55,000 people at the game on Saturday. And people are going to leave early. It's hot.
Yeah, that's fine, though. It becomes your irrelevant FCS game that everyone has.
Yep.
Who cares?
Bingo. You win the game.
And everybody goes, hey, Cal, next week. See you then.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's one of those deals where people say, what are you going to write? I'm going to write about Cal.
Yeah. We've used this term for a decade, literally. If we're still talking about C-Law on Sunday, something went crazy. I mean, come on.
If we're still talking about that game, if we're still talking
frankly,
about
late third quarter of that night.
Frankly, if I'm writing about that game on Saturday night, one of two things happened. They either lost,
or somebody got hurt,
or Matt Corral got hurt.
Yeah.
Or Scotty Phillips got hurt.
Yeah. Something that was season-changing.
Got hurt. A significant injury.
And there's only about 5 of those dudes.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm writing about Cal. The post-game questions are about Cal. I'm the guy that's frustrating the guy who insists on writing about, how did you feel about your third down conversions tonight? Where I want to go, are you really writing that? That's kind of where we are. People are always like, what do you think about during the game? That. I'll have it written. We'll write about Cal. We'll talk about Cal. Because Cal will become a big opportunity, and they're good. They're defensively, they're really good. I'm going to tell everybody right now, if you didn't stay up and watch, I did. I watched more of that than I'm proud to admit.
Well, we are hyped up. Really hyped up's probably not the right word. We have some adrenaline in some strange way for 60 to 90 minutes when we walk out of that press box.
Well, and I got home, and I had not really eaten all day, and I was hungry. And
we
so
walked out right at midnight, right? Just before.
Yeah,
midnight?
I got home like 12:15.
Okay, yeah.
And I poured a glass of wine because I was trying to wind down, but I was really hungry.
God, I would have never slept if I'd done that.
So I ate, and then I turned it on, and they were in a rain delay, but they had announced they were going to restart it. And so I was watching some of, I guess it was Colorado and Nebraska, and then they flipped over to it. And I thought, I'm not going to watch this for long. And I initially wasn't going to. And I turned it off, and I went and got into bed, and then Laura's phone dinged, and it was Campbell, and they were on their way back because they'd been out with friends that she had, I don't know, 5, 6 girls. I don't remember. There was a bunch of them in and out over the course of the weekend that they were all going back to Fayetteville yesterday. And so they went out, met a bunch of Campbell's friends that go to Ole Miss, and so they've been out till about 1:30, 1:45. And when they got back, so I said, I'll just get up and wait for them because I didn't know what people's state would be. I didn't know whether somebody might have to help take care of somebody or whatever.
Yeah, who knows, whatever.
It's somebody's daughter, and if it were my daughter, I'd want somebody to help. So I said, I'll stay up, and I'll wait till they get in, and I'll make sure they're good, and I'll get everybody a water and whatever. And they came in, and I talked to some of them for a few minutes. They were like, God, we suck. And I'm like, yeah, y'all suck. No doubt. No way around it. And they were all like, how come we kept playing the first quarterback when we should have played the second one? And I said, that's a good question. Anyway, we had that conversation, and so that kind of woke me up a little bit. And I went out, and I got them all waters, and I brought waters upstairs, and they were all up there. And as you know, it was 1,000 degrees on Saturday, and everybody was getting a shower and all that stuff. So the house kind of got not loud, but there was stuff going on at 2 a.m. And so I turned it back on. I said, it'll make me tired for a minute. And I watched a good bit. Now, Cal's nothing to write home about on offense. Quarterback plays just okay. The running back's a pretty good player. They're okay. Defensively, they're solid.
Justin Wilcox has done a very good job with that defense.
And their defensive secondary, it's upper echelon SEC quality.
It's good.
They got players back there now.
And now, look, Washington was never going to contend for the national title, but
no, they weren't.
But they're a good program, good team,
and he's a good quarterback.
He's a good
arm.
Yeah.
And no, their defense is legit. Cal's defense is legit. Offensively, they're there. But defensively, it's got a chance to be a really fun game. It's got a chance to be a really intriguing game because, again, we get into this development thing. So far, Matt Corral has played against the Memphis team. He's played what I think is really well against a very average to suspect Arkansas defense. He's going to have his way with Southeastern Louisiana. I'll be curious to see how much he plays, and if he comes out, who plays. There's a storyline to talk about later in the week. But he's going to get tested against Cal. And Cal's going to look at film, and they're going to say, hey, number 8, we got to figure out a way to get him away. Let's take him out. Let's make somebody else beat us. Let's take away 22. Let's take away 8. And let's see if 11 can beat us, or if 1 can beat us, or if the tight end can do that again, if they can have to use the other guys. It's going to be, from seeing how far they've progressed in 2 weeks, a really fun thing to watch. And my assessment after watching Cal is that is, for Ole Miss, a winnable game, and it's a losable game. Absolutely either way. Cal is absolutely capable of coming into Oxford and beating Ole Miss, no doubt in my mind. But I think Ole Miss could beat them. They have to play really well.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun. And by beating Arkansas now, to your point, by beating Arkansas, it allows us, as people who cover the team, to kind of talk about that. And I think it allows the fans to enjoy football again, as opposed to had they lost to Arkansas and you watch Cal beat Washington in Seattle, where people go, we're gonna beat Southeast Louisiana, but we're gonna lose to Cal, and then we're gonna lose to Alabama, and the nightmare, that rolling ball of butcher knives, as Tommy Tuberville used to say, gets going, and there's no stopping it. I think it was I think it was a season-saving win, at least for now. And I think at the end of the year, we'll look back and go, I mean, if they end up going 5-7 or 6-6 and it's respectable, I think we'll look back on that Arkansas game and say that was the day that they sort of stemmed the tide.
Yeah. We'll continue to talk about that in 1 second. First, tell you about Visit Oxford. Visit OxfordMS.com is the website. You go to the events page, see everything going on in town this week. Really starts ramping up around Wednesday. The South Talks lectures continue in Bernard Observatory. You've got the Boutique Collective at the Chancellor's House. You got a lot of stuff this week, including Thacker Mountain every single Thursday night. That's 6 to 7 at Off Square Books. And the public double-decker bus tours that happen on Friday during the football season, every single Friday, 4 to 5 of home games, music and movies in the park is this weekend, and much more. So all that, and you can find out where to eat, where to stay, and much more. Visit oxfordms.com/events.
The podcast also brought to you by Splinter Creek. Splinter Creek's a gated conservation community. It's located 8 miles southwest of Oxford, 75 minutes from the Memphis airport. SplinterCreekMS.com. 601-898-2772 to schedule a tour with Tom Smith Land and Homes agents today. So if you're coming up for the Southeastern Louisiana game, for the Cali game, one or the other, both, interested in possibly moving to Oxford one day, that kind of thing, you owe it to yourself to go out and look at this absolutely gorgeous land. It's 34 lakefront lots ranging in size from 2 to 25 acres, 650 acres of lakes, pine, and hardwood forest. I've been out there. It is really cool. The lakes, the North Lake's 45 acres, the South Lake's 25 acres. They have Partners Pond, which is 8 acres. The lakes are kind of the main streets of Splinter Creek. They use it as almost a neighborhood kind of a thing. It's a combination of docks and floating piers and a pavilion with fire pit, outdoor kitchens, that kind of thing. Really cool. You should check it out today. And to do it, go to splintercreekms.com or call 601-898-2772. We're also brought to you by Jackson Beer Company. They've got 10 beer taps for sampling and growler fill. You can mix your own pack of beers from their single shelf. There's more than 350 beers to choose from. You can ask about their kegs to go. So coming in for the weekend, you want to get set up. Join their text program. Text JBEER, J-Beer, to 51660. They're on Facebook and Twitter at Jackson Beer Co. and on Instagram, Jackson Beer Company. It's 662-638-3642 or 18. It's at 1801 Jackson Avenue West. It's hidden back a little bit off of Jackson Avenue, but it is worth you finding it. It's my favorite place in Oxford to get beer. It will be yours as well. We're also sponsored by Blue Delta Jeans. This week, Blue Delta is going to be in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Austin, Houston, and Atlanta. So if you live in or around any of those places, you're going to be doing business in some of those places this week, send them an email, info, that's INFO, at bluedeltajeans.com, and you can book an appointment or a time for a private fitting. You're going to hear from Blue Delta a little later this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. I'm not sure exactly what our schedule is. We taped it last week. Blue Delta is being announced as the official jean of the USA Ryder Cup team. It's a really cool thing. We've been telling you all about how they're great for golf tournaments. This partnership is going to make it even a more ideal product for you to bring to your golf club for tournaments and events. The Gino is finally out. They're going to continue pre-selling this fabric. It's soft. It's comfortable. They've got a great group of colors. Gino sewing is going to begin on Halloween, so don't miss this opportunity. Reserve your spot in the first run of this great new fabric line from Blue Delta Jeans.
Yes, thanks to everybody coming out for the pig roast on Friday. Saw a lot of listeners, subscribers, and whatnot. They had a golf tournament earlier today, so a lot of things with Blue Delta that were great on Friday. So appreciate everybody that came out for that, participated in either of those events. So let's see. You said it. We'll go here because I got lines, got some different stuff to talk about. Arkansas. I don't see an SEC game they're going to win. They play who? What is their schedule?
They play They play Colorado State, and then they play.
What teams from the East did they play?
Missouri
and Kentucky.
And Kentucky, yeah.
So they're in Lexington, and Kentucky has a backup quarterback now because Terry Wilson's out for the year. Maybe.
Maybe. Here's their thing. They got to do two things. Three things. One, they got to go to Starkle. He gives their offense a different dynamic. The Hicks kid's no good. I'm sure he's a nice kid. I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Hicks would disagree with my assessment and tell me that he is quite a good kid. He very well may be, but he's not an SEC quarterback. I'd go to Starkle. I'd cut the cuteness out of my offense. Stop all the trickery. Just
several times on Saturday they had some rhythm, and then he did something dumb. Frankly, it looked a lot like Hugh Freeze in some games Ole Miss lost.
Glad you said it, not me, but yes. Devwa Whaley had 2 carries. 2!
The Wildcat did not work. Stop running it.
You know what did work a little bit was play action.
Yeah.
People like to know how we watch games. We watch games so differently than other people, I think, because we're not cheering. We're asking ourselves on numerous times during the game, what are they doing? And like that little pass play, by the way, kudos to Willie Hibbler because he sniffed it out. But dude was open. But it's a wide receiver wearing gloves. He's not going to have a fast release.
Yeah.
It's a dumb play, and you were moving the ball. You lost like 15 yards on that play. They always did something cute. That's Morris, in my opinion, wanting to be the smartest guy in the room. Rumors already around there that some of the coaches have soured on Morris. They don't think he can do it. Morris is losing the coaching staff. Not good on September 3rd.
There's hardly any path to 6 for them at all. Nothing.
Yeah, no. They're not getting to 6. Who do they have left? They have
okay, I'm going to give them the 4 non-cons because whatever. It's San Jose State, Colorado State, and Western Kentucky. They have the SEC West, and then they have Kentucky.
I'll tell you now, those
Missouri.
3 are not freebies. But okay.
Well, I'm just saying at max. I think it's 5 if you
I'm
just
telling you
went
that I'm not even willing to sign off on those games.
They're not beating anyone from the SEC West, and they're not beating Missouri.
No.
West Virginia sucks, but Missouri looked pretty competent on Saturday.
Oh, Missouri's a lot like Ole Miss. Everybody's going to talk about that first game forever, and it was a first game.
On the road.
Yeah.
New quarterback.
Should Missouri have beaten Wyoming? Yes. Does Wyoming have a competent program? Yes.
That's where Ole Miss has to be kicking itself, because had they played like they played against Arkansas, they would have beaten Memphis.
Yeah, but had they played like they played against Arkansas, against Memphis, they might not have played that way against Arkansas.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
The same kids might have gotten cocky. They learned a lesson that day. And young teams have to learn lessons. Does anybody watch the NBA? Young cores of teams never win in year 1 in the playoffs. Never. Got to learn a lesson. You watch the Sixers this year. They're going to be scary as hell in the playoffs if they're healthy. Why? Because they learned a lesson. Got close. Close doesn't count. Michael Jordan and the Bulls did not win the first time they went to the playoffs. They didn't win the second time they went to the playoffs. Now, once they started winning, lights out. But history doesn't. We don't remember that. We don't remember how the Pistons used to bully them around. I'm not getting on the NBA, I promise. I'm using it as an example. Matt Corral had to experience some failure. One of the things that I remember saying in the summer, I'd be curious, how does he handle a bad game? How does he handle a loss? The answer, he goes to work. It's a great sign if you're an Ole Miss fan.
We're jumping all around. I'll tell you what I want to see on even Saturday against C-Law. Because, look, there's no doubt. Elijah Moore is a dynamic playmaker. He's an all-SEC caliber wide receiver, period.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's very, very good. He's got to find some help. And I don't know where that help is coming from. Early in the game, they targeted Dontario Drummond a little bit. Some different guys got into the action. You'll get snap counts here in a little bit today. You'll get grades for the week. But I tell you what, if I'm Ole Miss, I'm not saying concerning because some of it was just the game, the way it played out. But some of it, you don't have AJ on one side and DK on the other and DeMarcus on the other outside anymore. Matt Corral, I'm looking at his passing direction stuff for the week.
It's heavy on Elijah Moore, I'll tell you that.
He did not throw a single pass to the left side of the field on Saturday night. 0 for 0 short, 0 for 0 intermediate, and 0 for 0 long. Left side.
You don't think Cal's going to have that in front of him, do you?
Left side, 0 for 0. So on the right side, right deep, 0 for 1. Right 10 to 20, 2 for 4. Right 0 to 10, 3 for 3. Middle, tons of throws. 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 5 of 9, 4 of 5. And then anything left of the hash marks did not happen on Saturday night. Not a single throw.
If Anthony Chase Parham has that analytic in front of him,
Justin Wilcox probably does too.
Yeah. So they're
just something to watch. Just somebody's got to step here. Got to be a guy.
Again, in 13 days, Cal is. And I'm not saying they can do it. I'm not telling you they can do it. Although I think they probably can. They're going to take 8 out of the game. That's going to be their strategy. I don't mean hurt him. They're going to bracket him. They're gonna trick Corral or try to trick Corral with making it look like he's open when he's not. They're sharp in that backfield now.
Yeah, within 10 minutes, Wilcox is going, okay, that dude can't be the one. Can't let him do that.
Yeah, don't do that deal as a fan where you do that, well, I'll tell you, Pac-12, they're going to come over. They're going to be here for No, they're legit.
Defensively.
They got NFL dudes in their secondary. Trust me.
Offensively, they're kind of meh. But
yeah, offensively, they're just there. Again, the quarterback plays okay. It's nothing more than that. The running back's a pretty good player. The receivers are just kind of there. The line's okay. It's okay. They're not terrible. They're okay. They're fine. They're just They're not a train wreck, but they're not a Mercedes either. Defensively, guys, they're good. That secondary's really good. Really good. Playmakers. Impact players. Fast. Fascinating. I'm with you. I'm now like this week. If I'm Ole Miss, you can't force these things, but I'm trying to get some of the receivers along. Braylon Sanders didn't play, and guys, it's a hamstring
that could linger.
And if you don't let those things heal, he'll pull again, and he's out for the year. You got to let those things heal. So I want to see. Hey, can you get Miles Battle going? Can you get Mingo going? Can you get Drummond going? We haven't seen DeMarcus. He's disappeared to the point that we don't even. I don't remember his name.
DeMarcus Gregory.
Thank you. It's a lot. I want to see it. There's a lot of development. This is going to be a season that is about development. They tried to get Tyler Knight involved the other night a little bit. I thought they did a really good job getting Ely and Connor involved. I suspect we'll see more of that. But there's a lot. They've got 13 days and one scrimmage basically to get ready for a big challenge on that side of the ball.
Tell you a good sign. This is a good thing for Corral because it means they did pickups well, and frankly, the offensive line much better in pass coverage. Again, we'll get into that as the week goes on, but or pass protection. But when blitzed on Saturday night, Matt Corral 8 of 14 for 163 and a touchdown, and 3 of those were drops, balls that were on target. 8 of 11 for 163 when blitzed on Saturday.
I don't have the grades in front of me. You probably do.
I do.
I thought both left tackles were solid. I thought Howard really improved.
Michael Howard graded out 82.8 in pass protection on Saturday night.
It was much better.
That was the highest mark on the offensive line other than Royce Newman, who was at 84.4.
And I thought Broker did well.
Broker, let me find him.
I know he had at least one screw up, and he had
82.6 for.
Man, you have to be really excited about that. That's a high school kid a year ago. That was his first college action. So I'm going to guess that the butterflies in his stomach were like torpedo jets. And then, Givens didn't play a lot in the second half.
He struggled in pass protection, and he was just simply tired.
He was tired,
He didn't feel well.
He didn't feel well, and it was hot, and he didn't have the benefit of a fall camp to get in shape. He played a lot in that Memphis game because they were 3 and out, 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 3 and out. Well, they weren't 3 and out in this game. They were driving. They were on the field more. I just think he got worn out.
This is not a shock. The highest graded player on the team was Elijah Moore.
Really?
91.
What a stunner. Huh.
Yeah, I know. Shocked. Blown away by that, really.
Phillips did a good job in pass pro.
That is what like I said, Dylan pointed this out. I pointed it out on the podcast last week. It happened again here. And I get it's not a ton of reps. I understand that. They're getting really good pass protection from Jerry and Ely in the backfield right now. He's grading out over 70 every week, or for the 2 weeks in pass protection.
You know what he is? He's a really smart player. It's kind of the intricacies of the game appear to come very naturally to him.
And Scotty is acclimating himself really well as an all-around back.
Scotty's making money.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That cat's making coin right now. Because if you're an NFL team, you look at him and you go, yeah, we can make that work. Yep, we'll make that work.
Yeah, let's give that a shot.
Oh, he's making an NFL team. And playing. I don't know that he's a feature back in the league. I don't know that he's not. But I know that he's a player in the league.
3 offensive linemen played every snap on Saturday.
Johnson and Newman and
Brown.
Yeah,
Broker played 46. Matthews played 42. Howard played 40. And Givens played 34.
Okay.
Which tells you Givens, like you said, just gave out because Matt was wanting to get him between 50 and 60.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get there.
And if you had a stomach deal in that heat,
yeah, you were done.
You weren't going to make it.
Yeah. So just a few numbers there. We'll get into those more, obviously.
And they got to develop they've got to develop some other linemen. They've got 7 guys now, and that's okay. I think every offensive line coach in the country would tell you, I really want 8.
Yeah, 8's the number. It's 5 plus 1, 1, and 1 in a rotation.
I think they'd like to get to 8. Maybe that's James. Maybe that's Tuitt. I don't know who it is, but you're trying to find another guy.
Yeah. We'll get into lines in 1 second. For that, I'll tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're local underwriting that understands your market, a leader in condo financing, the float down option, and with rates as low as they've been in about 2 years. Good time to call Jason. Check on refinancing, check on purchasing, 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
Oh, I just saw something mad. Anyway, let's see. Where did I leave off? I know that isn't very good. Hey, searching for that unique way to brand your company swag? Have a special event to memorialize? Dead Soxy has you covered with their custom sock program. Click on the custom socks link and they'll walk you through the entire process from the complimentary digital mock-up before your order is placed to delivery, logistics, and even custom packaging. Dead Soxy is your place to create a gift they will use time and time again. With all-inclusive pricing, no upcharges or fine print. The custom sock design process is as simple as it gets. Head over to deadsoxy.com. That's DEADSOXY.com/custom. Remember, you can still save 30% on general orders with the promo code Rebel Grove. And as always, stay Soxy. Speaking of picks and lines, Neal's picks will be back out on Thursday. Zach Berry won the week. Chase did well. I did okay. Jeffrey had a bad week. Neal's picks is sponsored by Southern Craft Stove and Tap. It's located off Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue. Southern Craft Stove and Tap places an emphasis on food and atmosphere, mixing the quality of fine dining with the come-as-you-are environment. Featuring 30 craft beers, offering a high-quality selection of cuisine and libations, Southern Craft Stove and Tap has you covered for any occasion. Join them for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch, or have your favorites catered out. Catering orders, placed online currently receive $25 off any order totaling $100 or more. So avoid the chaos of parking on the square. Head over and experience carefully crafted dishes with your favorite Southern ingredients. Southern Craft Stove and Tap is located at Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue in Oxford. My post-game columns, this podcast also sponsored by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is based in Madison, Mississippi. They represent clients in 24 states. They have advisors in 3 states. Founded in 1997, Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and so much more. They treat investing like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that is built just for you. Cookie-cutter financial planners put you in a box. Pinnacle Trust builds a box just for you. To learn more about them, go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Mention that you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. I'll be soliciting questions on rebelgrove.com and on Twitter for my mailbag. It is sponsored by the Westin Jackson, which is home to Soul Spa, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. It's also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, where you can sip on a creative craft cocktail or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. So gather at Estelle in the Westin Jackson tonight.
Podcast also brought to you by Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape, premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but a lot more as well. Everything from custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces with paver patios, forestry mulching, and much more. The patch your dream backyard easier than you think. Go mastercuts.com for a free quote, or that same free quote at 662-607-7773. Again, go mastercuts.com. You mentioned Neal's picks. We'll get into those on Thursday, as always, but some lines opening up for the week. Obviously not one for Ole Miss as they play Southeastern Louisiana. And to this point, we are not pulling in offshore weird betting lines for FCS games. So maybe later, maybe when Neal needs a pick or two, but not yet. So
far, I'm 2 games out of the lead. I'm in last place.
Oh, we're all that tight?
Huh?
We're all that tight?
Yeah, I'm 2 games out of the lead. I'm 1 game out of second and third, so I'm there. I'm okay.
Okay.
There's a chance that we'll be betting on English Premier League at some point. There's a chance that we'll be betting on some Canadian Football League games at some point, but we're not there yet.
Let's see. Nothing on Thursday because that's the NFL's day, I guess. Is that why? Because the NFL season started?
I guess so.
There's 0 college football on Thursday night.
I think they wait till a little later in the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're not time for Fun Belt and action yet.
Yeah, no, it's not that time.
Way too early for that. 2 NFL games tonight. Saints-Texans at 6:15, and then Raiders and Broncos late game tonight, by the way. Let's see. Georgia is at home playing the Arkansas State Red Wolves. That line is an impressive 33 points.
Yeah, I was just glad to see the Arkansas State coach kind of back with his team a little last week. So
was he back with his team, son?
Yeah, I don't think he coached the game, but I know he was back at one of their meetings and stuff.
Okay. Just a tough situation. Really nothing to say.
Yeah, no, brutal.
That team, too, just emotionally, I mean, that's got to be incredibly difficult.
Of course.
So, let's see. This line is off the board, I'm assuming because Tommy Stevens. However, it opened momentarily. Kansas State -6 in Starkville on Saturday.
Is State playing the game about whether he's hurt or not?
I have no idea. I've been completely out of the loop on Tommy Stevens and his injury.
It was a non-throwing. It was a non-contact injury. He's a big part of their team. I mean, duh, Neil. He's their quarterback, but he's been really good so far. And they're not as loaded on defense as they've been in the past. They're dependent on that offense being pretty dynamic.
Do we think they're good?
They're solid.
Actually, OddsShark does have FCS lines if you would like them.
Oh, why not?
Tennessee plays at home this week. The Vols, definitely not back.
They're back.
Back to the basement.
Real quick.
Yep.
Real quick.
Yep.
Just a quick aside, because I've been asking people this. I get that in the late 90s they were really good. They were a dominant national program. Peyton Manning, T. Martin took them to a national championship. I get it. I'm not belittling any of that. But since T. Martin, so 20 years, what the hell have they done that anybody would want to go, oh, they're nationally elite?
Had a couple good years. I think they won the East a couple of times. Even in the late 90s, Florida was still the more impressive program.
Yeah, but Tennessee was an elite national. I'm not taking anything away from them. Every year they were a recruiting juggernaut, and they were a team that you had to, when you talked about who could win the national title, they were in the conversation.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not taking anything away from what they did then. But since then,
it's been 2 decades.
I covered T. Martin's last game. It was at the Fiesta Bowl. They played, ironically, Nebraska. It was January the 2nd, 2000. I covered it. I was there. What have they done since then? January the 2nd, 2000. Put that in perspective. At the time, my oldest child was not yet born. She's now a freshman in college. What is it about Tennessee that we're all waiting on? I would argue that what they are right now is what they are.
Big stadium, crazy fan base that is a negative.
Yay, big building. Woo!
Yeah. Kind of an ugly building.
It's fine. What have they done? 20 years, what have they done? That makes everybody go, it makes them a joke. I mean, I do the joke too. I think I do the joke because everybody else does the joke. We don't do this with Kentucky. We don't do this with Mississippi State. Hell, over 20 years, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I bet there's several programs in the league that are significantly more consistent than Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
What have they done? They've gone through a bunch of coaches, just processed through them, hadn't done anything. That news for everybody, they're not going to do anything. All the advantages that they had 20 years ago no longer exist.
They opened as a 24-point favorite over the Chattanooga Mocs on Saturday. Cool.
I mean, they might not win a league game. Who are they beating?
Their West teams are Alabama and Mississippi State.
Those are 2 losses.
They can beat Vanderbilt. I said can. Didn't say they would.
Hadn't done it the last couple of years.
I just said can.
Yeah, they're going to lose to Georgia. They're going to lose to Florida. They're going to lose to Missouri. I don't know about South Carolina and Kentucky because of their quarterback deal, and then Vanderbilt. So they're going to max out at 3-5. They're already 0-2 in the non-league. I don't know who they have other than Chattanooga left.
Let's see. They have.
If this thing bottoms out, does he make it?
They have UAB.
UAB. That is not a freebie.
He can't get fired this year. They're still paying Butch Jones a bunch of money.
Shit, I'm waiting, all jokes aside, for Phil Fulmer to say, I'm going to do this.
I thought that too.
Cost efficient.
You want to know Jeremy Pruitt's last 4 games? Have you seen this?
Well, I know they lost.
In descending order from right now.
Okay.
Okay. They lose, obviously, to BYU in overtime on Saturday. They obviously lost their opener to Georgia State, who had to scuffle against Furman on Saturday.
Right.
They closed last season with a 38-13 loss to Vanderbilt and a 50-17 loss to Missouri.
Yeah.
Those are their last 4 games.
The shame for Arkansas is they don't play Tennessee because I think they beat them.
6 games ago, they beat Charlotte 14-3.
Yeah. It's why I tell people when everybody's fire the coach, be careful. Tennessee always wants to fire the coach because they think all these national coaches are going to line up to take the gig. Tennessee's mistake is they had Mike Leach hired. He would have at least made them interesting. Right now, not only are they not any good, they're not interesting at all. They're not entertaining. They're not marketable. Tennessee's not only bad, they're boring.
They're only interesting in their dysfunction.
They're the guy that not only isn't very good looking, he's not very smart either. They're the girl that not only does she have no personality, she's ugly.
North Carolina State is only a 7-point favorite in Morgantown. I would feel pretty good about laying that on Saturday. West Virginia looked awful.
Yeah.
Just awful.
Awful.
I don't know why I'm reading North Carolina State odds. Let's see.
I thought maybe you were making a little SEC expansion talk right there.
I was, yeah. Good market there with the Raleigh-Durham area. Be real smart.
That's what everybody says.
Ohio State only giving 14 to Indiana on Saturday. Indiana better?
I think they're better.
Okay. Really weird team. Really good team through 2 weeks. They annihilated Syracuse. Maryland giving 7 at Temple on Saturday. Just reading some numbers.
He's done a good job at Maryland so far.
He has. Let's see. Congratulations to Coastal Carolina. Did they beat Kansas or Kansas hold on and win 12-7? Was it Kansas that won 12-7 or they lose?
I thought Coastal won the game.
They did?
Hey, Siri, who won the Kansas football game?
Kansas just barely lost to Coastal Carolina last Saturday. The final score was 12-7.
There you go.
Barely lost to Coastal Carolina. Thanks, Siri.
That's what Siri said.
Yeah.
My Siri gives a little commentary sometimes.
You're going with the English female Siri, right?
Yeah, just kind of. That's
because you can go male or female, and then like Australian. So you don't want like Crocodile Dundee as your Siri.
I kind of like a little British.
Okay. Let's see. New Mexico State, future opponent for the Rebels. They're in South Bend on Saturday. They're 36.5-point underdogs in that one.
Oh, that's all. Those bastards kicked a field goal to cost me a game in Neil's picks.
Who did? New Mexico State? Yeah, that was lovely. Enjoyed that. Let's see.
'Cause I had it. Bama was going to cover that line.
Holinsky gets a little step up in competition this week. He had Charleston Southern last week. He gets Alabama this week. South Carolina plus 25.5.
That line's opened at 21.
It's 25.5 right now.
I'm laying them.
You're laying them?
Yes.
Okay.
I do cheer for the Holinsky kid.
Oh, of course. No, absolutely. Army almost pulled off the win against Michigan. They are 16-point favorites against UTSA on Saturday.
They're good. Army's good. Michigan is not particularly good. Michigan was very fortunate to win that game.
Your boys from Evanston are 18-point favorites against UNLV on Saturday.
Yep.
Let's see. Looking on down. Arkansas, speaking of Colorado State, it opened at 12.5. It's now down to 10.
Whew. Let's see what the temperature is going to be in Fayetteville Saturday. Let's guess a crowd.
Okay. I would under temperature. Ole Miss, if you do want to go offshore and bet on this one, you need to lay 34.5 against the Lions on Saturday.
That's a lot of points.
I mean, we're not really picking it against the line, are we?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not breaking the rules yet. We'll break the rules later. Let's see. In Fayetteville on Saturday, they get a little bit of a break here. High of 84, low of 67. That game kicks at 3 o'clock as well. What's the crowd in Fayetteville for Colorado State, Arkansas?
2 straight weeks also of bad football because San Jose State's in town the next week.
Yeah, I'm aware.
40,000.
What'd you say?
40,000.
Yeah, I said 48. You're probably closer to right.
Actual butts and seats, 40,000.
Yeah, that's probably right.
That's where I'm going. Iowa plays Iowa State this week for a little Iowa action. The Cyclones 3-point favorites in that one.
Hey, that's a good game. All Iowa jokes aside. We had a girl from Iowa at the house this weekend.
Were you? No.
Uh-huh. She did. We talked a lot of Iowa stuff.
Did you ask about Dubuque?
I did.
Okay.
Talked about a lot of. We literally had a charming girl. I really enjoyed her. We talked a lot about Iowa, the whole state of Iowa.
Where is she from in Iowa?
Des Moines, near Des Moines.
Okay.
One of the Des Moines suburbs.
She went to Arkansas?
Uh-huh. She's in nursing.
Okay.
She's a sister at Alabama.
If you want to watch the tune-up for Ole Miss for Cal, they've got a little bit of a tricky game, or potentially a tricky game on Saturday. At 3:15, you'll be busy, I guess, but Cal hosts North Texas in Seth Luttrell on Saturday.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, Cal minus 13 in that one.
Our Wi-Fi connection's probably not good enough to support it, but we might give that a shot.
I tried to watch LSU Texas in the press box, and it was spotty at times. I was having a hard time keeping the feed.
Yeah, I had Cubs Brewers up, and
you had a lot of luck. I had worse luck with the Hulu app.
Yeah, the MLB app worked for a while, and then it bogged down, and it was just as well because the Cubs lost.
Oh, they ended up losing?
Yeah, they lost. They lost again yesterday, and Javi Baez has a broken thumb. He's out. And then yesterday, Addison Russell got beamed, so he's got a nasal something, and he's in concussion protocol. So the Cubs just called up their top prospect to make his major league debut tonight. And I'm kind of pissed because last night I sort of said yesterday afternoon when the dude hit the home run off Lester to basically end it, I sort of said goodbye to the Cubs. I said it's football season. I'm interested in the NFL. I watched a lot of NFL yesterday. I sort of said, hey, fellas, it's been a hell of a run. I know a lot of you aren't going to be back. I know we're probably going to shake this thing up. And I said, and I mean this sincerely, I sort of said goodbye, and I'm not particularly interested in you anymore. I'll remember you fondly. I'm not keeping up with the rest of this. Farewell. And now Nico Horner getting called up has me thinking, do I stay up until 9 o'clock to watch the Cubs in San Diego? Because I'll be up because I'm going to watch the Saints game. Why are they pulling me back in? I said goodbye. They should let me go.
Yeah, you're always going to be suckered back in at the last minute. So you'll watch a little. You'll catch a touch tonight. At least in advance.
I mean, I know I'll watch his first at bat because I'm excited about him, but I don't want to get suckered into the game.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Yeah. We'll finish lines in 1 second. I'll tell you about G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar in Oxford. You can find them at 662-236-2222 to find out about their delivery to your home or workplace. It's free. They also offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions on the same day every single month. Make it easy for you. Really limit the trips, the deliveries. Do what is best for you, the customer. Also, while you have them on the phone, you can ask about their sildenafil. It is their brand alternative to Viagra and Cialis. It is cheaper. It is more effective. You can take the pills, break them into a quarter, a half, whatever it is you need. You can also be discreet with that at gandmpharmacy.com. You can click product request to request a prescription right there online. Again, 662-236-2222.
The podcast is also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. A lot of you have used John. I've seen some of the trips that you've booked. I haven't seen your names and stuff, because that would be violating your privacy. But I have heard about some of the trips that you all have booked a Scotland golf trip for 4, 30th anniversary trip where they went to Italy, Venice, Florence, Positano, is that how you say that? And Rome. They were there all over the place. Really cool. Some of you have gone to Orange Beach. You've gone to Greenbrier. You've gone to Alaska. You've gone to a resort in Chatham, Massachusetts. You've taken a Holy Land cruise. You've been a lot more interesting than I've been. I've been to Fayetteville. That's about it. So you can book a trip through John just by telling him that you heard about it on the podcast. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners. Allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. You give him a call. You give him some options. You give him some parameters. You give him a budget. He gives you options. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients save $50 off the first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. So stop by Grenada Nissan. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast. You'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. He's also part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center and all that it houses. What you do is you can check out the model home, 215 William Street. Check out the website, savannahsquareoxford.com, and then get in touch with Harry, 662-801-5621. We're also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB is home to Kasasa. It's the absolute best cash checking account with Kasasa. OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000 and refund ATM fees nationwide. They also have a commercial checking account now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more, go to Live Oxford, bankoxford.com, or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. And we're brought to you by 7 South Tailgating. They're owned and operated by husband-wife duo Kyle and Jordan Thornton. They're both Ole Miss alums, Oxford locals. Kyle's a former Ole Miss baseball player. Jordan's a former Ole Miss football staff member. What started as a way to pay for college has become the greatest tailgating service provider at Ole Miss. The team at 7 South, the Rebels through and through, they take pride in the Grove and the impact their service has on protecting, preserving, and enriching the Ole Miss game day tailgating tradition. Call them at 662-321-1682 or check out 7southtailgating.com.
Auburn minus 34 against Kent State on Saturday. I remember them from a season ago, I guess. But 34 points for Auburn, and they won by 18 against Tulane, which just snuck inside the number on Saturday.
Well, the last time Auburn saw Kent State saw Wesley McGriff, they scared the hell out of him.
Woody Barrett had a little bit of a day that day.
He did.
That's right.
So
Wesley is familiar with Kent State.
Yeah.
Something
tells me he won't have.
He'll be able to scheme that up on Saturday.
Yeah, he won't have quite as much say in the game plan.
Yeah. Florida at Kentucky on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a shame. Stoops has done a really good job at Kentucky and appears to be a class guy. And losing Terry Wilson for the season is a blow to them. They were headed back to another bowl season.
Florida minus 9.
Yeah, Florida will probably cover that, and they'll win. I kind of hate that for Kentucky. Kentucky's just because I just kind of like him a little bit. I like him. I think he does a good job, and he's done a good job there. And I think it was they were on their way to being kind of a cool story again.
Texas A&M plays Lamar on Saturday night. Offshore line for that is 43.5. They were okay.
They were solid. Clemson's really good. Clemson's legit. A&M's coming.
Trevor Lawrence wasn't great. He's okay.
He wasn't great.
He has started the season fairly slowly relative to expectations. Just a thought.
Yeah.
LSU, Northwestern State, whatever. If you want to offshore bet that one, it's around 56 points. Joe Burrow, just a hell of a day against Todd Orlando in that Texas defense on Saturday night. They looked very real.
I rarely get it right, but I watched their game against Georgia Southern, and I was like, oh. And now I'm back to going, oh, they're really good. I'll go so far as to say they are a legitimate threat to Alabama in the West.
Okay. I want to see a touch more, but I'm not completely telling you you're crazy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Burrow's a stud now. They're running a system that fits him, and he is playing with a load of confidence. They've got weapons at receiver. They're pretty good up front. They've got weapons in the backfield. Now defensively, they've got some issues. And in fairness to Tom Herman in Texas, Texas is much better. Herman's done a good job there. That hurt to say, but he has.
Yeah. Missouri, Southeast Missouri, 33 on that offline number if you're interested. Clemson on the road. Talk about a huge line jump here. They're in Syracuse on Saturday. It's opened at 17. It's now at 26.5.
Syracuse has given them problems in the past.
It's a huge number from a difference, 17 to 26.
Yeah.
Oklahoma at UCLA. That's going to be a killing.
Oof.
Sooners going to roll through that one on Saturday night. Texas at Rice on Saturday. And let's see.
That line's got to be in the 30s.
Texas and Rice. It is at 30 on the dot.
Okay.
Opened at 28, now at 30. That's about all I got. No crazy. The only chance for a crazy night game like we typically get, Texas Tech is at Arizona at 9:30 on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Not much interest.
No. No.
The last game to
game. You and I are covering a game at 3 o'clock that I plan to have my column written. So we're out of there at 7:45. We're home by 8. What's the game that's on that night? Florida, Kentucky.
It's a night game, yeah.
So I need to find something to watch.
Florida State, Virginia is on. I know you want to look at that.
Florida State got all ULM jokes aside, lucky.
Yeah. Very, very lucky. But it's not mattering. There's nobody in the stands. Nobody cares. It's over. It's year 2 and it's over.
So there's no primetime night game Saturday night that I can come home and.
I don't see anything on the schedule unless things get weird that's going to hold your attention on Saturday night.
Okay.
Nothing. So.
Because I might have the house to myself. Carson's got soccer tournament and stuff. I might come home and. Campbell's gone. Caroline's going to bail on me. It might just be me coming home, pouring a glass, staring at the television. I'll have to watch Food Network or something. Mm-hmm. It was fun to come home and have a game to watch. I was glad it was on. I was appreciative of Cal and Washington until they suckered me in.
Gardner Minshew getting snaps yesterday for Jacksonville.
Who was it, Nutt or Freeze, that didn't think he could play?
That would have been... My first thought was Nutt. Maybe it's wrong. I'm looking. I don't remember what year Gardner was. It was Freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of high school and JUCO.
Just didn't believe in him.
He was small.
Yeah. You'd think Freeze would appreciate small.
A guy... We like Gardner as a person anyway, but talk about really...
I love him as a person.
Really pushing the right buttons. He almost went to Alabama as the backup, went to ECU and struggled, then ends up really finding that fit at Washington State and parlaying it into an NFL career.
I think his dad's a super guy. I've had interactions, I think, with the sister. I was impressed. I remember meeting him at a restaurant in Jackson when I was down there doing a whole bunch of recruiting stories and thinking he had so many intangibles and wondering, why is Ole Miss and State not at least giving this kid a shot?
Mm-hmm.
I got that one right. And I get why he didn't fit State's offense, because Dan likes to move the quarterback a lot. And that's not his game. But that's an evaluation mistake.
Anything else stick out as we close from yesterday?
There's a lot of interesting things in the NFL yesterday. A lot. Like Cleveland. Whew.
That was rough.
Hello.
The Dolphins sucked every bit as we thought the Dolphins were going to suck.
I tell you who I'm impressed with, because we've made fun of him before. The job Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray did in the second half of that game. Kudos. No joke. Hat tip. He was awful in the first half. Just awful. They looked completely inept, where people were like, oh my God, this is a bust. And then they got rolling. And Kingsbury, what they did with him in the fourth quarter was really brilliant play calling. Really smart. They put him in really good positions. Dallas, that offense looks scary. Prescott was really good yesterday, and if he's that good with all the weapons they have, they've got Witten back, Randall Cobb. I can't think of the kid on the outside who burned the Giants rookie corner. Dallas looked legit.
Minnesota looked good yesterday. Dalvin Cook looked great.
Atlanta did not look good. I feel validated.
Yeah, it was a day where the NFC South went 0-3, and the only ones that even really showed a pulse at all was the Panthers, who lost a home game to the Rams.
If Cam Newton would put as much effort into on the field as he does his little outfits and stuff,
that was rough yesterday.
you know what he's doing. Just be a quarterback, man.
So Saints with an early opportunity to grab a game lead in the South tonight.
New England looked really good.
They did.
Pittsburgh looked really bad. I can't decide which looked more extreme or both. The Chiefs looked good. Mahomes was terrific.
Foles out for a while with a clavicle injury.
Yeah, Minshew's going to have to play unless they
go get somebody.
Yeah, and the one guy that makes sense for them to go get, I don't think they're going to get him.
Who?
Eli Manning.
Oh.
Redskins looked bad. Eagles looked okay. Just kind of, I tell you what, Saints Texans tonight should be a really entertaining contest. It won't be for you because you're
emotionally invested. Yes.
But for people like me who just have kind of gotten NFL fever, and I kind of do cheer for the Saints. I'm a little emotionally invested, but I refuse to allow myself to do that because I for reasons that we've discussed before. But Texans will be good. They just went out and added an elite left tackle. You pointed this out, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but you're right. There was an interview with Laramie Tunsil that I think it's been on our board and everything else. But when he's told that Sean Payton complimented him, as you said, he just lights up. Like, really?
He was excited. It was kind of pumped him up a little bit.
And by the way, I got some pushback on some things that I said about Laramie Tunsil and his access when he was at Ole Miss. I stand by what I said. Hugh Freeze tried to hide him. Hugh Freeze did not give us – it's not Ole Miss media relations. I think had it been up to Kyle Campbell and his people, we would have gotten Laramie a lot. But Hugh did not want us talking to Laramie. He was scared of us talking to Laramie. I guess he thought someone was going to ask him about benefits and such. It was a complete missed opportunity to have a superstar player who is as charismatic and kind of – when I say attractive, I mean good-looking guy with a great smile and he's kind of engaging.
Can be a face.
could absolutely be the face of a program, and they didn't allow it to happen because the coach was terrified. And that was yet another mistake as it pertained to Laramie Tunsil. You could write a book about the mistakes that Hugh Freeze made as it pertained to Laramie Tunsil. You could just go on and on and on. I won't, though, because I know that there's still some hero worship that lingers out there with Freeze. But trust me when I tell you that he was not available to us as much as he should have been made available.
Yeah. We will be back tomorrow. Plenty more to talk about, including Ole Miss, some NFL stuff, some other college football as well that we did not get to simply because it's Monday. And then we'll get that Blue Delta stuff to you as the week goes on, too. I think a pretty interesting story that a lot of people will be interested in as they've grown from a small business, and still a small business, but into what they are now. So a lot of that coming on the week here is Ole Miss and CeeLa play 3 o'clock on Saturday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.